Alaikum, I'm Binish Tahir from Punjab University, College of Art and Design, Lahore, Pakistan. I have formulated a virtual presentation for the European Conference on Sustainability, Energy and the Environment 2013. I am honored to be presenting in this European conference. The title of my paper is Sustainability in Kalash Textiles and Fashion. The area of Kailash Valley is unique, situated in the Hindu Kush region of Pakistan near Chitral city. It is a small group of believers. Their isolated geographical mountainous region is a combination of Birir, Brahmrat, and Brambur, which differentiates them from the other parts of Pakistan. My focus during the presentation will be on the textile and fashion culture of Kailash Valley. Sustainable design revolves around the quality, aesthetics, and service of any given design. Historical evolution of any given design of fashion or textile has maintained an identity through ages, which becomes the combined personality trait of a culture. Despite the tribal environment and rather primitive ways of living, Kilasha's life is a constant festival. Kailash women dress in headdresses and a black dress which they have been wearing since hundreds of years. The traditional dresses are made of hand-spun woolen yarn. The surface design and motifs and the fashion layout has sustained itself through ages. Sustainable textile and fashion design are the products which are environmental friendly and they support communal harmony as well as capable of supporting fashion needs. Environmental sustainability. Uh, the need for environmental sustainability is to make people aware of the social, economical, and ecological benefits that this brings. The products are more eco friendly, and the development processes are also very environmental friendly. And the care for environment is also very important to conserve energy and to make sustainable materials and products. Kilashas have a closely knitted connection among the community. Their life is organized around a continuous parade of communal religious celebrations, which are usually mixture of religious rites, dancing, singing, wine, food, and general revelry. If it isn't a formal festival, it is a clan event or a special celebration of this or that. In this harsh environment of Kailasha life, it is very important to do this to exist. However, socially or culturally, it is a rich and lively life. This region gives birth to a rich base for the cultivation of a culture which has been influenced by different settlers over hundreds and thousands of years, but has not much changed and has kept its identity. A strong sense of design is a salient feature of Kailash textiles and fashion that can be observed in its traditional forms. This is an image of the Kailasha women socializing and having a good communal gathering. Textile fashion needs and consumption. Consumers generally purchase more fabric or materials or any product if the spending is less. So, a decrease in price is an increase in spending. Emotional sustainability is the fostering of relationship between the wearer and the garment, and the materials are obviously eco-friendly, and the awareness about eco-friendly materials is very necessary for better sustainable creations. Kailashas represent their wearers by their clothes. What the layout is, what the material is, and how they're sustaining communally. A method, a methodology to sustain fashion and textile is gradually more conditional on the suitable material choices. The new fabric based on decomposable fibers and eco-friendly materials as laundering and drying of the clothing is considered to be the most substantial sustainable effects. Material has also come into the mainstream requirement, which is facilitating an application for sustainable fashion. Interchangeable methods and different materials can be utilized to make a garment fit to its environment, atmosphere, and seasons. The Kailasha women considerably less material and money to invest in a wide range of fabrics, which lead to managing resources and controlled use of the materials, and less washing, which leads to much minimized aging of fabrics. Sustainability in Kalash culture of fashion and textile is about designing, avoiding huge monocultures, spreading risks, decentralizing production, celebrating traditional fibers, and giving people creative and productive employment. Sustainability in Kalash fashion and textile design is about designing avoiding huge monocultures, spreading risk, decentralizing production, celebrating traditional fibers, and giving people creative and productive employment. There is beauty and greatness in Kilasha garments. They value process, participation, and social integration, which develops into advanced relationship between people and environment. Friends weaving together looks amazing and beautiful, and it shows their relationship together and the fostered emotions that they develop while encouraging each other and questioning each other and developing a sense of placement in this natural world. Kalasha women create stylized floral motifs combined with geometrical lines and shapes to form borders and necklines of the long black gowns in striking colors. The borders comprises of lines, geometric shapes, leaves, flowers, and the gowns are held tight at the waist by a waistband. This belt is made by hand weaving, and it has on one side it has hanging fringes. The necklines are of embroidery from neck to the shoulder, and the top of the gown has a baggy look. The headdress is of two types mainly, one with a flap on the head and drops down to back of the shoulders, and the other one with a circular cap and long flap at the back. They are embellished with cowrie shells, beads, buttons, and bells. Nation. This whole combination outlook demonstrates the consequence between craft and cultural identity. By connecting with natural resources and less investment, they are sustaining the clothing culture and reducing the consumption. By consumption, I'll be explaining some of the key points here. This tribal setup shows that by connecting with the natural resources, they are sustaining the clothing culture, which is reducing the clothing consumption. A central problem with textiles and fashion is that often a garment is omitted before it stops to function. A garment can be disregarded because it is no longer answering a supposed requirement, or in this case, that requirement is an emotional one. Sustaining a wearer's interest and engagement with a garment is the real challenge. However, if a designer creates a garment that can adapt and transform and reflect the wearer's invested care, then we can begin to rethink our engagement with our clothes. This is about design sustainability of textile and fashion of Kailash Valley. Due to some industrial changes, new chemically dyed threads have been introduced, but the constant focus on the major layout of the fashion has remained. The consumer and producer both have mutual interests which lead to a more wholesome communal ties. The geometry in the layout of clothes and surface design remains consistent. The design sustains its individual identity. The material also sustains and are being reused to produce more products. Sustainability in the aesthetics of the elements of the surface and layout of design keeps it evergreen and fresh. This is a traditional headdress of a Kilasha woman. with cowrie shells in a linear pattern and circular patterns of metallic discs and buttons and bells. This is their traditional dance, women dressed in their traditional gowns, having a waistband and circular caps. This is braiding, a technique that women do by themselves. Waistbands are normally made of hand woven fabrics with geometric patterns and linear designs with bright colors. Kalashas have a closely knitted connection among the community. Their life is organized around a continuous parade of communal religious celebrations, which are usually mixture of religious rites, dancing, singing, wine, food, and general revelry. If it isn't a formal festival, it is a clan event or a special. These are belts that a woman is displaying. This is their traditional dance, women dressed in their traditional gowns, having a waistband and circular caps. Kalashas use their material of headdresses and promote their fashion through collective aesthetics, harmony, and this keeps their social responsibility and cultural roots fresh and revived. It is about making a garment or surface that starts a debate, invokes a deep sense of meaning, or requires the user to finish it with skill and imagination and a bit of flair. Sustainability in textile design and fashion design has maintained through teaching as well. Kalash women teach their children, especially girls, about how to make their designs, what patterns they use, and how this legacy is going to travel into their kids. This is an example of a woman making a belt on an upright loom. This is an image from the Museum of Kailash showing an upright loom and a belt being woven. A woman stitching the traditional gown. These women stitch their own fabrics as well. This is an example of the round cap headdress. In the end, I will just explain 5 points. Firstly, home. What are the roots? The essence of the Kailash belly asks the residents to wear it proudly on their backs. It asks them to find the world in their own neighborhood and to know and support what's going on around. Secondly, flexibility. Fashion and textile influences and creates a space for itself in our world for a little while, but it would be interesting if that time is extended to a series of development. Kailash culture of textile and fashion is all about that continuous updating. Thirdly, cleaning. Washing clothes is an activity which is done without thinking and it bears close ties with social acceptance, personal and romantic success and happiness. Here, textile of Kailash Valley bear this particular washing activity on a more communal level, on a social acceptance level, which is quite less. They contain it within their region. Recycling. This type, this is typically related to the early culture of Pakistan on the whole. The garment used in the Kailash Valley, keeping in view the economical state of the residents, are transformed and reused according to the needs of the user as they have multiple festivals and celebration. They continue wearing their traditional gowns and using them from time to time. They unfold patterns and reuse them in new ones. The cowrie shells, buttons, feathers, metal belts are reused again and again in different headdresses and borders. Lastly, the self. Clothes defined our modesty. We use clothes to identify ourselves, to present ourselves in certain way for a certain audience. Our clothes represent who we are. This means, for example, that many of us relate our individual identity to what and how many materials we consume. Here lies a paradox. Psychological needs are not easily satisfied, and in some cases, are even inhabited by consuming materials, a fact recognized by many religious communities in their guidelines for living materially simple but spiritually rich lives, which can be identified with the Kalashas, who have a close religious circle of polytheists, and an introverts culture which retains their textile and fashion needs to a limited, simpler, and individual image. Yet, the pressure to consume materials continues to intensify, pushed onwards by marketing, social competition, and the driving forces innate in humans of emulation and envy. With this, it is concluded that idea of sustainability of Kalash textile and fashion is based on personal, social, and institutional transformation. And from this transformation, a unique way of clothing has emerged and sustained itself that speaks individual rhythm and role of textile and fashion. It engages and empowers the user, not just covers their bodies, but releases the potentially self destructive, ever faster pace of change. With this, I thank you very much. I would like to thank the European Conference organizers for giving me a chance to display my work over here. I'm pretty much obliged. Thank you very much.